The time is now.
Newcastle United latest news talk.
With talkSPORT's Jet Cunningham. Live, weekly, or on UFC Talk TV. The voice of the Toon Army.
Hello, sorry, a little bit late today, but we are here. It's the NUFC Talk TV show with me, Jack Cunningham, and we've got a win to talk about. It's absolutely unbelievable. I am so looking forward to getting into it with you all as we discuss Newcastle's 3-0 win over PSV in the Champions League. Guarantees us a place in the knockout rounds. It was a perfect night for Newcastle, really, when you think about it. Just thought that everything worked out for us. It was a really strong performance. There was not many negatives. There was one major negative, of course, losing Bruno Guimaraes, but apart from that, it was an excellent display from Newcastle. And welcome, Ed Bird. Hello, how are you doing? Good to have you on board. Good to have, hopefully, everyone on board as well. Yeah, as I said, it's just a little bit late today. Apologies, I was just getting everything set up, so I'll stay an extra 5 minutes, of course. But loads to go over from last night, and looking ahead to Aston Villa, and maybe we'll even touch on a little bit of PSG as well. But overall, after everything, good afternoon, Still Bad Dad. Hello, how are you doing? Great to have you with me again this afternoon. Great to have everyone with me again this afternoon. Really looking forward to this one. Mick Bingley, hello, afternoon. How are you doing, sir? Good to have you on as well. Look, it was a great night for Newcastle. It was really, really good. PSV, we talked about it on Tuesday. No mugs at all. Won 13 in a row in the Eredivisie. They had thrashed Liverpool 4-1 at Anfield. They had beaten Napoli 6-2 as well. They had 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 defeats from their games. And Newcastle made them look amateur. I thought, well, big shout out here that from Connor there saying big shout to J7. He was everywhere. Your man of the match. We will 100% touch on Joelinton because I thought he was brilliant. I think also what I've been really pleased with Joelinton is probably since January, that first game against, not January, that was actually December. The last game of the year, December against Burnley, I think we're seeing the old Joelinton coming back. He's playing so much better. You can see the confidence is back with him as well. I think it was a very, very good performance from Joelinton. Aidbird saying crazy. Yeah, I know. And you know what? And Carl makes this same point as well. Afternoon, Carl, as well. By the way, thank you for coming on. Good win, but it's not carried away. PSV were poor. They were equally. I think Newcastle made them look poor. I really do. I think that's what was actually that was the reason that everything, that was how it went down. I think that basically Newcastle made PSV look poor because the old aggressive Newcastle were back. The press was back. I liked the 4-4-2 pressing. So in the sense of we had Vissa and Joelinton pressing as a 2 up front, worked really well, caused PSV all sorts of problems. Now, the centre-back for PSV, number 3, Gawrowski, he was absolutely terrible. I mean, I have some people saying he reckon he's the worst player they've ever seen at St James's Park, or the worst performance they've seen at St James's Park. And you probably wouldn't be far off that, to be honest. Like, he was so bad. I mean, what was he doing for the second goal? Fair play to Visser, by the way, for being alive to it, nipping in, throwing himself at it, playing it across, and there was Gordon to score from open play, which was nice. We'll touch on Gordon. Still bad dad on about Elanga. Yes, thought he looked good when he came on Elanga. Put a really good cross for Walter at one point. You can see the games where he's going to thrive. Ones where we've got a lead potentially, or against teams who are maybe going to have more of the ball than us, or teams are going to be play a high line against us. I think Elanga, we could see the best from. Afternoon, Peter. Yeah, very good result indeed. Afternoon, thank you for joining. And Geordie Dan. Afternoon as well. Miley getting the captain's armband. Such a great moment. We will 100% talk about that as well. And got another, well, I think it's down here. Good morning, Kevin. How are you doing? So, Christopher Hosking has an interesting question. Says Jack, our front three did well last night, but against top sides we won't get tap in. So fans have a point about our front line. But last night did prove Vissa has to play against PSG. Waldemar won't score against PSG. I think at the moment, I think this, well, that was his best game so far. You know, really looked like he was getting some of that match sharpness. That's everything fine. Yeah, all good. Yeah. So really, really good to see Vissa playing well, looking sharp, looking lively. Enjoyed his pressing off the ball, enjoyed his work rate. His finish was good, actually. You know, I know Joe Linton put it on a plate for him, but actually, I thought it was a good finish. Hit it into the ground, over the goalkeeper, made it really hard for the goalkeeper to save. Good finish. I think hopefully this is the start of this. So look, it's still 3 goals for him, and he's not started or not played many minutes. Should I say? So not played many minutes. He's still got 3 goals so far for Visser, and I'm starting to see that sharpness in his game. That was a really good performance from Johan Visser last night. I was very happy with him, and I'm really hoping he can take it on. Look, if by the end of the season, if him and Waldemar have got a combined 27 goals between them, directly contributing to, maybe not score from. I can't remember any statistics I got. Maybe so say over 30. So say if by the end of the season they've got combined over 30 goals, then we have effectively for this year replaced Alexander Isak. If you think about Waldemar has 11 goal contributions, Visser now has 4. So we're halfway there, 15. We've still got half the season to go. So let's see what happens. Afternoon, Jody Yam Yam. Exactly. I thought, yeah, back 4 was brilliant. Again, I want to really go into a deep dive onto the back 4. And I've got a question here. Oh, Jack, did you see Simon Jordan today was spot on about the excuses about our stadium? There's no excuse not to have it sorted. We all know we have to move to have a 70,000 plus. Stadium is a really interesting one. I am one of the fans who are massively against leaving St James's Park. I feel as if we can expand it a little bit and it would still be the special ground that it is. I appreciate the side of commercially, money, etc. I just want a bit of, maybe I'm not a realist in this. I am a realist in most sense, but maybe not a realist. I just want a bit of romanticism still in football. I think knocking down St James's Park could be one of the saddest days of my life, to be honest, because it's such a special place. And nights like last night, the atmosphere seemed brilliant again. So that's where I am with St James's Park. And look, I know it's a thing that divides the fan base. I know it does. My opinion is can you make our ground a little bit bigger? If you can, why would you move it? It's a unique location. It's a unique place. It's created special memories for basically everyone who's been there, especially over the last few years. And equally, we're so good there that if we move somewhere else, we're looking at Tottenham struggling to play. Arsenal took a while to start playing really well at the Emirates as well. Now they've made the Emirates a bit of a fortress. But it's just one of those, this St James's Park discussion. I get what Simon Jordan's saying about no excuses with it, but equally, there's been a lot of change behind the scenes. CEOs, sporting directors come and go. It looks like now we've got a really good CEO in place, David Hopkinson, and we've got a really good sporting director in place in Ross Wilson. So I'm sure this year we'll actually hear what's going on in terms of that. But either way, I think even if they decide to build a new ground, we'll be at St James's Park for a while because it's been picked for Euro 2028, and that's 2 years away. So 2.5 years away. So yeah, that's where I am with that one. But interesting question from Christopher, and thank you very much for putting the question in. So, and then, what's your thoughts on Gordon, Sebastian Shearer's goal and assist total? Will this be the catalyst that gets his Premier League games going? Gordon and the Champions League has been absolutely brilliant. I don't know if everyone knows this, but if he scores again, he moves, and he has at least 3 games to do so, of course, because we have guaranteed our place in at least the playoff places in the Champions League. So he has at least 3 more games. He needs 1 more goal, and then he is level with Alan Shearer as our all-time top Champions League goal scorer. Now, I think that shows 2 things. I think 1, it shows that our Champions League record wasn't very good in the past. And I think 2, it shows that the Champions League is easier at the moment to play in the Premier League because basically every team comes out and has a go and gives you space. Doesn't happen in the Premier League at all. So that's where I am with Gordon. I have criticised him a lot because I know that he can do better. I have seen him do better. We need more from him in Premier League games. I just don't. I'm feeling like these games coming up are actually an opportunity for him because I think he will have more space against Aston Villa. I think he will have more space against Liverpool. I think he will have more space against Manchester City. So I'm hoping that we start to see the best of Anthony Gordon. But fair play to him at this. And, and again, the open play thing is not good, is it? Going a whole over a year without scoring from open play. But I did see a few arguments last night, which I do agree with, that you do need a reliable penalty taker. And he is extremely reliable from the spot. Really, really good penalty taker. And you don't really have any fear that he's going to miss. He seems to, he's practiced them, he's worked on it. And that is an important thing, especially Newcastle do win quite a lot of penalties. So that's why I'm with Gordon. But then we got... Yeah, look, are you willing to give up your seat because the fact obviously it's St James's Park? Well, look, that's what I'm saying. Like you expand St James's Park as much as you can, and yeah, of course you would have to give some commercial seats, but this is not what football's about. It's not what football's about. These people who are turning up on day trips who aren't actually fans, it's not what football's about. And it saddens me that is the way the game's going, and football clubs are seeing their fans more as customers than fans. People you shouldn't go into a football club and think you're going to make money from it. You should buy a football club with the view of, right, I've got loads of money, but you know what, I'm just going to make loads of people really happy. And I know it's probably not a realistic view of looking at it, but yeah, that's just where I am. That's where I'm at with it. And I wish it wasn't like that, because fans are the lifeblood of a club, and if you're starting to remove them, you get bad atmospheres, as we've seen at numerous grounds around the country, and it just becomes more of a product than what football is to a lot of people, which is life for a lot of people. So that's why I am with that. That's fair enough. Goody Gumdrop, welcome. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, Alanga, yes. That's where I am with Alanga. Look, with Alanga, I was really happy with what I saw from him, and it was great to see with the crowd. It was really good that the crowd were chanting his name. You could see that gave him a boost, and I think there are going to be games coming up where he can cause absolute havoc. his pace is he's so rapid, and he was a bit unlucky with the shot he had in the second half where he got in down the left hand side and he blasted with his left foot, and it wasn't too bad. He put in a really good cross for Waldemar. This is where I'm at with Elanga. I really hope he goes on to turn everything around. I think the crowd did a really good job on him. So really happy with Elanga. Carl here saying Gordon only turns up for Champions League games. So yeah, look, he said it himself, hasn't he? He said he gets up for the really big games, and we need him to get him down. We need him to turn up for the Premier League games. But I do think it's a Premier League wide issue. I saw some interesting things about, I guess, Saka's goal scoring stats aren't very good this season. Foden's goal scoring stats aren't very good this season. There's a lot of players who aren't wide players who have had really good seasons before, scoring loads of goals, getting loads of assists, who just aren't, because Premier League teams have become so good at blocking central areas, essentially, and forcing teams to put crosses in. And that's where we are with Gordon. I don't think he doesn't try in the games. I think he does, but I've wanted more from him, and I think everyone has the right to want more from him. I just think in the Champions League he's actually got more space, which is why Harvey Barnes is so impressive, because he's doing it in Premier League and the Champions League, and he has little space to work in, but he's managing to find a way to get goals. Brilliant goal last night again. He looked a bit frustrated on the right initially, Barnes. I thought, like, you could tell that it was like, well, I want to get over on the left, but then he gets his moment. He dances past the defender and he fires it in at the back of the net. It was a top finish from a guy who is now 1 goal off his best ever goal scoring season, which was 13 goals. We're in January. We're looking at 20 goals for the season for Barnes, from a winger who is most of the time playing on his non-favoured side. He is not getting the credit he deserves in the wider media. I don't know why. England call-ups should be coming in March. It is baffling to me on that one. But yeah, Christopher's got a good one here. Jack, I'm born Geordie, live down south. I live down south as well. I've worked at Highbury at Emirates, mate. Sorry, but to say Arsenal left Highbury to get the commercial days to compete, but we need money to compete. Yeah, we do need money to compete. But have you seen how much money? Okay, the most teams' revenue comes from TV deals and then other sponsorship deals. The actual match day revenue, in terms of the percentage of what it makes up for each Premier League team, isn't that high. Tottenham have the best match day revenue, and it is a lot of money. But in the terms of what they earn overall, it's like a drop in the ocean. And that's where my thing is, that match day should be for fans, actual fans of the club who want to go and support their team and almost play the match along with their team. That is what match day should be about. Not all these people coming in on, from companies who's out after a day out. It's not what football is about. And I'm saying this because ultimately, you can just sign good spot. If you get good sponsorship deals, that is where you'll get all your money from. Realistically, matchday revenue is an important part of it, but equally, if they move St James's Park, so build a new ground, it's not going to be very far away from where it is now. So people are still just go to town and go to the place they've always gone to for a drink. It's not like the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere, and they do well because they get everyone in early. You stay for your drinks, you get your food and what have you, and they turn it into like a match day experience. You can't really do that at Newcastle because of the location of the place. Everyone has their own match day rituals that will not change just because I can get a pint in the ground, a little and maybe help the club make some match day revenue. It's not the case. So for me, match days are for fans. I know it's not realistic. I just don't like seeing people who aren't fans of the club. This goes for all football things, or all these people who are there who are interested in football anyway, because I do go to games as a neutral, but at least people who aren't interested in football, people who are just there for a day out, I hate that. That's where I'm up with that. Yeah, look, yeah, but this is the thing, slapping. Mike Ashley saw Newcastle as a way to make money, and in the end, he did, and that's why. But that's why we all hated him, because he didn't spend anything, and like there was no ambition. And a football club is an escapism for people. It's an escapism from maybe the realities of life, and like to then have the fact that if your football club has been saying, well, we're actually just going to make money. So Chelsea, for example, at the moment, their owners have made it blatantly obvious that they are not interested in winning anything. They just want to be in the Champions League every year to then sell on players. And then they've also made Liam Rosenior reintroduce players who Enzo Maresca had excluded because he didn't want them. But Liam Rosenior has now been asked to reintroduce them. So Axel Disasi is back. He's a player who had been totally cut out of the team. Raheem Sterling might be coming back as well. Again, another player being totally cut out of the team. And he'd probably have to give them minutes because they want to sell them. It's running a thing that should be for fans and for an escapism, as basically a way to just make money. And I'm totally against it. I think football owners should come in and be of the view that we're going to just make some people happy. But that's just where I'm at. That's just where I am at with that one. Yeah, hit the like button. Nice one. Hello, Kim Cam. How are you doing? Yeah, no, but I'm on about with the no problem at all with the training ground. Training ground is absolutely brilliant. On £200 million training, that's fantastic. You'd love to see that. That's proper ambition, though. But that's not changing St James's Park or whatever you. And it's we're going to move forward with the new training ground. I just think with St James's Park, you simply expand it as much as you can and you stay there. It is as simple as that for me. I think a new ground, knocking down such a brilliant stadium as this is just not right for me. It's just not right for me. It's as simple as that. We can still move forward with a slightly expanded St James's Park if we then get some brilliant sponsorship deals on board, because that's where the money is. And getting in the Champions League, that's where the money is. And you get that from having good sponsorship deals and creating a place that people don't want to come to. Newcastle will have a better chance of getting in the Champions League if St James's Park is a hostile ground rather than this new ground that becomes maybe like the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where it's not hostile at all. It's full of people who don't really care about being there, and Newcastle suddenly then drop down the table and you end up being a bit like Tottenham. So that's just why I get the debate. It's not, people can disagree with it. I'm totally fine with it, to be honest, but that's just where it is. I think that the way a lot of Premier League clubs have gone about it is they've basically tricked everyone into believing that, well, actually you do need all of these people who aren't interested in being there and just out for a day out. You do need those people here. So that's where we are. That's where we are with it. That's where we are with it, to be honest. Yeah, Christopher again. I don't get time to come up for me. It's like 200 for a trip and go hard. Reality is we need commercial deals because we can't get sponsors off how we play because we have. I mean, sponsors. Newcastle should have done more sponsorship deals. I don't think Pete Silverson's done a very good job with that, to be honest. There's plenty. Manchester United get sponsors for everything. Newcastle should be able to do that as well. You just go to companies, and the fact we don't have a training ground sponsor, we should have maybe a training ground kit sponsor. There's so many things out there that are open to Newcastle making money from without having to knock down such an incredible stadium as St James's Park, and that's just where I am. That's just where I'm at with it, to be fair. So, no, I understand it again, and Christopher again saying that, only St James's Park can only up to 60k, and against sponsors you have to win. We don't have the money to compete. Sponsors don't just turn up, mate. Yeah, they don't, but they will be drawn in by what Newcastle are already. And that's why there's going to probably be a new front of shirt sponsor. There's going to be there's going to be a new front of shirt sponsor. Don't know who it's going to be, but there is going to be a new one. Let's find out what happens there. You can get the training ground sponsored. You can maybe get St James's Park sponsored if you want. I don't know, but the idea of, for me, knocking down our stadium just to build a new one, I just think I think it's a sad indictment, to be honest, of what football maybe is becoming, what it maybe already is, and I just want that fact that I want St James's Park to be a horrible place to play in, instead for everyone coming to it, rather than just a place where we've got 10,000 commercial seats. Again, matchday revenue for every single club, even for Spurs, is a drop in the ocean compared to what they earn from TV deals and sponsorship deals. And that's where Newcastle can do better. I mean, the Adidas deal is massive. That's great. That has improved us as well. But they released the Deloitte Football League today. Yeah, so that's just where I'm at with that. I don't want to. I obviously appreciate that. Like, people want to talk about this and stuff, but like, it is something that it is going to divide the fan base. I get it. We're also a long way away from anything happening. I think we will get an announcement this year on either a new stadium or expansion to St James's Park. I think we will. By the way, nothing will happen until after 2028. So we're a long way away from that. Hopefully we'll get the training ground news very soon. That's brilliant. That's a clear sign that PAF are still massively involved in it. And Choppy says, I don't care where the sponsorship money comes from. No, I don't care where the sponsorship money comes from. I'm just saying that Newcastle have plenty opportunities to get sponsors. So that's what I'm on about it, to be honest. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that I don't think match going fans should be, I guess, punished in the sense of that they might lose their seats to commercial whatever with a new ground or anything, because matchday revenue actually for every single club is just a drop in the ocean. There's plenty of other ways to make money. So that's all it is. But anyway, let's talk actually about the game last night. Let's start with Botman and Chow, because I said when Sven Botman signed his new contract that I would have waited until the end of the season, and that's purely because he still would have had a year left, and I wanted to see if, one, he could stay fit, and two, if he could hit those levels of 22, 23, because Botman's played a few games this season where I thought he's looked really good, and then other ones where I thought he's looked really poor. So I think even Bournemouth, I don't think he played well. I don't think he played well against Leeds either. What I will say is, in the last week, I feel as if Sven Botman is getting back to those incredible levels of 22, 23, where he was one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League, alongside Fabian Schär, Kieran Trippier and Dan Burn and Nick Pope in goal. It was one of the best back fours in the Premier League. Defensively, we were brilliant. And Botman, in the Manchester City game, was a rock. Against Wolves, he didn't have a lot to do defensively, but he passed the ball well. He was one of our better players in that game. And then last night, he shut down everything. He absolutely shut down everything. PSV are a decent team, and they had some moments where they were in dangerous positions, and there was Botman just reading it. Bong, slide and tackle, whatever. There was one point where I think it was a loose pass play back to him on the edge of the box, and he got there first, and then the next guy was coming in. He slid in, stands up, and rather than put out for a throw in, and just calmly passes it forward. It was elite. And look, if Botman can get back to those levels, stay fit, that's the big thing. Stay fit after an ACL, but stay fit. we're talking about, again, one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. Like, there's a reason that Newcastle did so well in that first year with Botman. There's a reason that we've missed him so much, because he isn't quick. He's never been quick. But what he does do is he reads the game so well. He's strong, and his passing's top draw as well. So really excited to have Sven Botman back. And then Malik Chow, another top display from him. And you're looking at it honestly, they're both in their mid-20s. Botman and Chow, you were looking at a top centre-back partnership, at least certainly it should be until the end of the season. I know Dan Burn's fit again. In my opinion, I do not want to see Burn coming in for Botman unless it's for purely rotational reasons. I don't think Burn should just get his place back in the side. That is absolutely nothing against Dan Burn. What a servant, what a guy, what a legend of the football club for what he has done for Newcastle. But ultimately, Botman is better. And if we're going to finish in the Champions League places, if we're going to push on in the FA Cup, and if we're going to have a good Champions League run, we need Botman and Chow to be the centre-back partnership. So I thought it was a really, really top display from them too, and excited to see how they do in these games coming up, because strangely, I did have a look at this. The underlying numbers for Newcastle's defence is actually really good. We have the second best XG conceded in the Premier League, which is obviously below Arsenal, but then we've conceded way more than the XG suggests, which is quite unusual. It doesn't necessarily always go like that. So that's disappointing. I was thinking, no, I think the chat seems fine, but there's just no more. There's just your choppy. You're just the only one who's commented, to be fair. But I can see everything. Seems all fine to me on my end, but please let me know if not. But yeah, I thought Botman just looking Newcastle's overall defensive numbers, second best Champions League defense at the moment, 6 goals conceded. Again, Arsenal ahead of us. So yeah, it's Arsenal ahead of us. We only conceded 2. Of course, we got PSG next week. That might change, but even then, I think defensively with Chow and Botman, we're looking better. I think with a lot of the games that we have played in all competitions this season, we've conceded stupid goals. I think overall, there haven't been too many games where Nick Pope's had loads to do. I mean, last night I can think of one save that I made, which was so easy. It was unbelievable. So, still bad dad saying, let's not say Rolls Royce, they spend a lot of time in the garage. They do, to be fair. Yeah, let's hope that he's not like a Rolls Royce in that sense. But let's hope he's a Rolls Royce when he's on the road. That's what we mean. But that's always been the thing with Botman, hasn't it? And since we badly managed his injury in September 2023, where he partially tore his ACL and then for some reason didn't have surgery, just came back, and then of course he tore it again, like tore it properly. It's just been it's just not happened for him. And then he got another injury, he came back, and then this season he had that weird little niggly back injury, which again I was extremely concerned that was going to turn into something really long term, but luckily it hasn't. And what's been great about it is he's played every minute of every game for the past week. I'm trying to think when he would have last not started a game. Probably Leeds came on, didn't he? He came on for Chow. So probably since Leeds, he started every game because Cher, of course, got injured in that match. And then Burn was out as well. So it's good to see Botman playing minutes and doing just playing back to those levels. Now let's see how it goes for the rest of the season, but I have fingers crossed that he is going to be fine and we're going to see the best from him. Hello, Steve. Welcome as well. How are you doing? All good to have you on. So, got some... Yeah, Geordie Dan says, please hit the like. Yeah, definitely. And that, to be fair, gives me a chance as a reminder for people who are watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Of course, get involved in the live chat, which you all are, as always, which is brilliant. Don't forget to become a member by joining NTTV Plus for £4.99. NTTV Plus now includes all member perks and exclusive content in one place. And then just a reminder from me, again, filmed another episode of Inside the Toon today, which is talkSPORT's dedicated Newcastle show. We covered, obviously, Champions League win last night. We talked about Harvey Barnes. We talked about Kieran Trippier. So if you wouldn't mind checking that out, that should be out later on today. It'll either be on the Newcastle YouTube channel or just the normal talkSPORT Newcastle channel as well. So Newcastle talkSPORT YouTube channel and the talkSPORT YouTube channel, or just type in Inside the Toon as well. And that's going to be weekly from now until the end of the season as well, which is actually brilliant. Can continue to bring top Newcastle content to you all. So that's that. But yeah, Botman and Chow, really, really good. So Hall, excellent again. Excellent. Just starting to run out of words for Lewis Hall, really. So good in possession. Love his turns when it looks like he's in trouble and he just somehow spins out of it. Then he's away. He is excellent. Lewis Hall, top draw. Trippier had a good performance. I was critical of Trippier after Wolves. Thought that in possessions was nowhere near good enough. But solid display from Kieran Trippier. Really nice touch as well, giving Lewis Miley the captain's armband when he came off. Miley looked absolutely stunned, and everyone else also was absolutely stunned. And thank you very much, Steve, for the super chat. Thank you very much. Can't believe you didn't give the kids a chance. Yeah, well, you know what? Let's talk about that then, because who was on the bench? I need to remind myself who else was on the bench in terms of the kids. So just bear with me on that, and then we can have a little discussion about that. No problem at all. Lineup. So who did we have on the bench in terms of the kids? So we had Max Thompson, who's a reserve goalkeeper. We had Alex Murphy. We had Leo Shahar and Sean Neve. Okay, I think this is an interesting question. I'm going to say, I think I would like to say Alex Murphy, because, so I'm going to say I would like to say Alex Murphy, because I think that Lewis Hall didn't need to play 90 minutes when we have Aston Villa, PSG and Liverpool next week, where we're going to need Hall to be playing basically most of the minutes in those games if we're going to win those games. So I would have brought Alex Murphy on. Probably at the same time we brought Alanga. Maybe when it went 3-0. When it went 3-0, I would have brought Alex Murphy on. So I think that's a good point. Shahar, I think... So Trippier came off for Willock, didn't he? So then we moved. So we changed it around to put Miley in midfield. I kind of got it, but equally, it would have been nice to give him his Champions League debut, wouldn't it? Right back, get him on. Why not? And then Sean Neve, I think what I'll say with that one is, because we play with one striker, Walter Marder already come on. Walter Marder came on at 2-0. I don't think you're going to bring Sean Neve on at 2-0 where the game's not quite finished. But I would say I would have liked to see Shahar and Alex Murphy, definitely. So thank you very much, Steve, for that. Really appreciate that. And I definitely would have liked to see those players. Sean Neve's time will come, though, don't worry. Two Nuts agrees with you, Steve. Says when we were 3-0, he should have definitely gave the youngsters a chance. Yeah, look, as I say, I can't disagree. I can't disagree with that. I think it would have been nice to see. It would have been nice to see them get their opportunity, especially in the Champions League as well. Come on, Champions League debut, have a good time. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Okay, we got a update from Bruno directly. Thank you very much, Connor, for putting this in. Really appreciate that. Great stuff, mate. I hope the injury isn't too serious and that I can be back on the pitch doing what I love most as soon as possible. How we the lads? Yeah, that was the only negative, wasn't it, last night? Bruno going down. The concerning thing is the fact that it was his landing that it happened on. So if I'm going to take a guess, I'd say a twisted ankle. Now, a twisted ankle... as a twisted ankle, as long as the ligaments aren't damaged, you're looking at hopefully a week, 2 weeks, maybe. I don't think you play against Villa no matter what, and I don't think, weirdly, we'll necessarily need him in that game, because I don't know if everyone's seen, but Aston Villa's midfield has been decimated by injuries themselves. So we've got Unana out, we've got Kamara out, probably McGinn out as well. So it's going to be Tielemans and Borgard in midfield, who got overrun by Everton's midfield last week in their defeat to Everton at Villa Park. And then they got Fenerbahce tonight, which is not going to be easy at all. So I do think that even without Bruno, midfield of Tonali, Joe Linton, and probably Miley will be more than enough to even if you put Miley at right back and you put Ramsey in there, I think that would be more than enough to hopefully overrun Aston Villa's midfield and at least give us the chance of that game. So I think PSG. I think if he's I think if he's got even a chance of playing, I think he'll play. To be honest, because we know that if we even get a draw, we could actually finish in the top 8, but a win would definitely get us in the top 8. So I think Bruno will be that. But look, let's just hope it's not a bad injury. The fact that he's playing for 10 minutes makes me feel as if they had any concerns, you would hope that they'd just not even take the risk and they'd just take him off straight away. That would be nice. So Bruno told the bench the pain was immense and he could not continue before he eventually came off. Yeah. So I think he obviously tried to play on. Of course, he was always going to. Being in pain isn't necessarily mean it's a serious injury. You know, I've rolled my ankle. It hurts. It does hurt, to be fair. We're just got to hope it's not ligaments. If it's ligaments, you're looking at a while out, and our record without Bruno is really poor. So I think we can win the odd game without him. Like, I think Sunday we can win without him, but I don't think we could win it on a prolonged period without him, because ultimately, in a lot of games, he's won scoring loads of goals for us, but equally, he is one of our easily probably the most creative player we have, actually. So I think we need to see what happens with that, but let's just hope it's not a bad injury, and that would be a shame. Let's just see how long he's out for. Hopefully, as I said, don't think he play on Sunday, which I think is absolutely fine, not a problem at all. Don't even risk it. If as long as he's at least 90% fit, he probably plays against PSG, and then hopefully he can play in Anfield. If he misses those games, you're starting to feel like would certainly be struggling to win those matches anyway. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the Bruno injury. And as I say, that was the only really disappointing thing from the match, to be honest. But I thank you for putting that in, Connor. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Yeah, look, a few other people saying here that he needs a bit of a rest. Yeah, Toon, not very annoying. Bruno stayed on for so long. You could blatantly see he was injured. You could see he was injured. I just hope that the reason he did stay on so long was more so a case of, right, well, it's obviously it's not a one way, can't play on at all, so it can't be the end of the world. But we'll have to see. I thought second half performance from Sandro Tonali was very, very good. You know, Tonali is a player who has been struggling in games. It seems to be what's really strange on Tonali, because I thought last season he was basically a 7 out of 10 every game. We would win, we'd lose, we'd draw. He was still a 7 out of 10 minimum every game. So that's where I'm at with that one. I think, yeah, but then I just thought, and I think this season he's been a bit inconsistent. There's been some games he's been brilliant, but then the drop off between brilliant and poor is strange. It is strange. It's a major drop off, actually, in some games. I mean, as I say, that Wolves game, he was really bad in that game. So, but he was top. He was top again. He was top again last night. He overran them. His passing was good. It was progressive. Kept the ball well in that 6 role. Covered things off. So I'm just hoping we're going to start seeing the best of Tonali. Now, Connor has another interesting stat here. So we got another one. Sorry, Connor, where are you? We've not won any games without Bruno in the team. Now, I do remember seeing this. I think this is start. Maybe not. Yeah, I think it's a start. But still, it shows you how important it is, doesn't it? And as much as I still feel like we can probably end that record on on Sunday against Aston Villa because of their own injury issues, because of their own fixture schedule pile up, then I wouldn't want it to go on for much longer. To be fair, but yeah, that's all good. Steve pointing out that we didn't really miss him in the sent off. We didn't at all, no, which was great to see. I think it's a very good point actually. It was great to see that, and looks like a few only want to turn up for Champions League. I don't agree with that. I think what it is more so is that I think the Champions League at the moment there's just more space. There's more space for teams to use and operate in. So I think that a lot of our players who maybe aren't doing as well in the Premier League are just getting more space to work in. So that's where I am with that one. I think it's a fair point though. I mean, if you think about certain things anyway, you think, well, that's not, think about certain things, you think that's not great, is it? Like we want consistent performance from everyone, but I do think there's a lot of players who are showing signs of getting back to their maybe old levels. So I think Joe Linton is playing really well again. Lewis Hall's playing really well. I think, as I said, Tonali has been up and down, but I'm hoping this will be the start of him getting really good. Miley's been excellent for a few months now. Barnes is playing so well. So Visser, again, I thought it was his best of one so far. Sharp from Visser. So we've got to take it on. Of course we have. But I think this fixture list coming up, as much as it's daunting, in many ways it might suit us a bit more because a lot of these teams are going to want to have the ball, be progressive, and we can probably be that team who sit in and counter-attack, and we are brilliant in transition. So let's see what happens in terms of that. But yeah, that's just where I'm at with that. I think that's an interesting point, though. Not absolutely fair. And 11 days before the transfer window closes, clubs are hanging on 2 players by putting exaggerated prices on them. Are we at fault by not meeting the asking price? Transfer window, we have to address a little bit. Yes, I think that we're not going to sign anyone, to be honest. Seems like a lot of the indications are it's going to be quiet. So Ben Jacobs, colleague at talkSPORT's, saying that they're still potentially going to recall Matt Target, or they're looking at Norton Cuffy. So Norton Cuffy has a lot of teams interested in him. He's a powerful right back. That would be maybe more a summer transfer brought forward, if anything. But it's kind of looking like defensive cover or nothing. I disagree. I think that Newcastle, as much as I see the point of, well, it's only short-term thinking, it's not really, because if Newcastle don't get European football by, say, not signing, it's to say, touch wood, it doesn't happen, but say a Hall gets injured or something and we end up missing out on European football because we have to play Dan Burn at left back for a period of games, whereby Dan Burn will work hard, he'll try his best, but he can't do the same things that Lewis Hall does. So we're losing out on the ball and off the ball in that sense, and we'll lose points. So I don't think, for example, I'm not sure we actually lose to West Ham or Brentford if Lewis Hall's playing those games. I think he makes that much of a difference to the team. So that's where I'm at with that. I get the thing where they're saying about short term, but is it short term when then if the long term you miss out on signings in the summer and you miss out on European football, and maybe some of the players say, well, we're not in Europe this year, maybe it's time to move on, and then it'd be like, well, why didn't you invest in January? So that's where I am with the January transfer window. I think it's a very difficult transfer window to work in. We've seen not many teams do much business. Tottenham have signed a player. Manchester City have signed 2 players. West Ham have signed a couple of players. And that's about it. Aston Villa have let Marlon go. They're probably going to sign Tammy Abraham. Maybe Mateta might join as well. Brennan Johnson's joined Palace. Apart from that, it's very limited. But I do think Newcastle should sign some form of defender. I definitely think that. And this is interesting. Miley, Newcastle youngest ever captain in Champions League and 4th youngest captain ever in the competition. Well, that's unbelievable, isn't it? Wow. Yeah, so only behind Ruben Neves at 18. It shows you how good he is. It really does. And I don't think Trippier would just do that for no reason. I think that Miley has earned that. And you could see the smile on his face. I mean, what a moment for the lad. And I was really impressed with Miley when he came on. Thought that down that right-hand side, both at right back and when he slotted into the right centre midfield role, played some brilliant passes, got forward. He's so much more athletic than he was. And he's added that to his game, but he's kept the technique and he's kept the composure. We've got a top player on our hands here in Lewis Miley, and I'm so excited to see how many games he plays for Newcastle, what he can achieve at Newcastle, and what he can achieve for England as well, because there's England caps on the way very, very shortly for Lewis Miley. There has to be. You can't have a guy who can play so well at right back, then he plays in midfield, looks exactly the same, puts him into centre back, even at centre back, he looks as good at centre back. So we are talking about a lad who broke through. He looked brilliant, but you could see obviously he was a boy still, and now he's a young man. He's very impressive in everything he does, and I've always been a big fan, and I'm happy to restart those Kobe Mainoo, Lewis Miley debates, I think, because I think Miley's winning those at the moment. Obviously, Mainoo will get the attention still. He did play well in the Manchester derby, to be fair to him. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that one. I think Miley's just playing extremely well. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing from him. And, well, we're looking at coming up now, Aston Villa. I'm sure that there will be a proper preview show on NUFC Talk TV as well, but I'll have a little chat about it as well, because Newcastle's record against Aston Villa is absolutely stunning. They have not won at St James's Park since we were down to 8 men, when Kieran Dyer, Lee Bowyer and Stephen Taylor were all sent off. And I mean, who can forget that game? So that's where I'm at with Villa. I just feel like this is a game that we usually do really well in. I think we're playing them at a good time. They've dropped off a little bit. They're not on that mad run anymore. Injuries are starting to hit them. So Villa is a chance to get 3 points. It massively is. And I think we will, because I think we'll overrun them in midfield. Now, the one player they have is Morgan Rogers, who is a player who's a match winner on his own. He's one of the only ones at the moment in the Premier League who seems to be able to operate against any sort of defence and still come out on top. So we'll obviously have to be careful of him. But yeah, I think Villa, even when they went on their winning run, I wasn't overly convinced by them all the time. They massively overperformed on their XG. I know XG is something that not everyone agrees with, but I think one thing I do think it does show is it shows how many chances you actually create and how many good chances you actually create. And they were overperforming in the majority of their games. And a lot of their games are really close as well, which is a good sign for Aston Villa. And they're still in a Premier League title race, actually. But I feel good about this game. And there's a few more points on Miley here, so I don't mind going about them. Hugh Guy says, I rate Miley highly, but centre-back is pushing it. Right back, he can do a job, okay, but he's a midfielder in my eyes. No, sorry, if I didn't make that clear, apologies. What I mean is, he's absolutely centre midfielder. That is where he will play. But what is impressive and what is thing about good players, for example, Reece James, Moise Caicedo, Declan Rice, they are still good when they play in other positions that they're not used to. So at right back, he's not really put a foot wrong. At right back, he didn't even really struggle against Jeremy Doku. I know Doku beat him a few times, but Doku would beat anyone. If that had been Trippier, it would have been absolute carnage. So it wasn't. So that's where I am with Miley. And look, and then a centre back, he filled in against Leeds, and it looked like he played there his whole life. He didn't look out of place at all. So I'm not saying he is a centre back. I'm not saying he's a right back. I'm just saying that he looks comfortable there when he plays there. And good players look good in any position you put them in. So that's my point. Apologies if I wasn't clear. And then Jordy Yam Yam says, can you imagine what you'd be like if you had a bit more confidence? I think he doesn't see the talent we see. He could be a monster for us with a bit of self-belief. I think this is a fair point. I think last season, I definitely thought this. I thought he didn't believe. I don't think he believed in himself last season. Not even remotely. Don't think he felt the confidence to be what he can be, I suppose. But I feel like this is. I do think it's a little bit different. I think he does. I think he's just a quiet lad. He's a quiet, shy lad, and he's still like growing as a person and as a person. Yeah, he's still growing as a person. So maybe not quite figured out who he is yet, or what his character is yet, maybe. But what we'll say is, I think he does now feel he belongs in the team, and I think and the key thing for that is, I think that the team will trust him with balls in very difficult situations, and he usually deals with it. He doesn't really lose the ball, Lewis Smiley. I know people have criticised him before in the past for maybe keeping it safe, but sometimes you do need someone who's going to keep it safe and recycle possession, etc. So that's where I'm going with. That's where I'm going with that one. I think it's a great point, but I think he is starting to show a little bit more confidence now. And then we've got one from Connor here saying, "How good did the white the white shorts and socks?" I'm glad someone's brought this up because it's so good. I love it. It just looks great on a Champions League night. It really. We should just change our home kit overall to that. To be honest, it looks so much better. It really is. So I really, really like it. And we've had some great results wearing that combination as well. So I really like it. And Darren, hello, Darren. Nice to have you on again. So this is good. Afternoon all, at least we know now. Ross Wilson's fully in charge of transfers, taking that pressure off Howe and Nixon, Ben Jacobs mentioned yesterday. Yep, Ross Wilson is indeed fully in charge of transfers. Obviously, that doesn't mean Eddie Howe is not going to have any input, because of course he is going to. And that would be incredible. That would be insane if he didn't. He's not going to get. We're not going to be signing players he doesn't want. But I think this is important. I think this will see a move away from maybe signing the Premier League proven route, which has proven to end up with overpaying for a lot of players. I think we will see a lot more looking at Europe and further beyond. I don't know about this transfer window, really don't, because it feels like Newcastle are more electing to keep our powder dry for the summer. As I've said, I think it's a bit of a risk, because equally, I think if you miss out on Europe, I think you're in a struggle in the summer, to be honest. I think if you don't miss out on Europe and you get Europe, then it looks like it was fine. And we've got a big summer ahead. Kieran Maguire, financial expert, had a chat with us on Inside the Toon probably a couple of months ago now, and he said Newcastle are in a position to spend a lot of money. So maybe it's that. I think the summer's going to be. We can get on with. We will. By the way, I mean, we're in January. We're going to have plenty of time in these shows to talk about transfers, the summer, etc., etc. I think that in the summer we're going to see a big overhaul in the squad, both in squad players and starting 11. In my opinion, I can see, maybe 3 of the starting 11 potentially leaving, and then I can see squad players bit coming in and going as well. So I think it's going to be a big summer, to be honest, coming up for Newcastle. So, shame about Smith. Yes, it is a shame about Keith Smith. I think they saw that as a market opportunity. Look, I think they felt that they could get him and dive in there, sign him. It didn't. It didn't happen. It's fine. I saw him play live a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago now, actually, for Isaac Alkmaar against Palace. He was incredible. Looks like a top player, but Real Madrid are interested. I don't think he'll actually come to the Premier League. I think he'll be joining Real Madrid. I think once Real Madrid come calling, that is that. I think for most football players, I think they go, okay, I'm joining Real Madrid, biggest club in the world, no question. So that's where I think Smith will end up. It's a shame, but equally, Newcastle went in for him in January. They tried. That would have been probably our only signing. It's not going to happen. We have to move on. There are other players out there. Newcastle scouting is very good. So let's see what happens. Gabby, and was this on breakfast this morning? Was it? Unfortunately, I didn't actually tune into breakfast this morning, but I'm not sure we got lucky against PSV. I don't think we got lucky against PSV. yeah. Look, yeah, we didn't get lucky against PSV. PSV created absolutely nothing. And they created nothing because we ensured that they created nothing. Do I think that it was our best performance in possession? No, I think there was a few opportunities we wasted. I'm trying to think of a couple where I think Joe Linton played Gordon in. He had two players screaming for the ball. Barnes and Visser. It would have been 4-0. There was one where Visser missed from the Barnes cross. There was a couple of counter-attacks that they didn't even... There was a couple of counter-attacks that we didn't quite make the most of, but we weren't lucky. Newcastle deserved to win. Newcastle were the better team by a long way. And again, I thought the key thing was actually just at the back how good Botman and Chow were, and it just set the tone for the rest of the side and allowed us to build from there. And if we can get if we can get that aggression right in moments of games, we don't need to be on it in every game. It's just but you've got to press for moments in games. That's why I don't get why in certain away games we don't really press. And I really want to see against PSG next week. I really want to see us be aggressive. What I want to see was get in their face, show them the best version of us. Don't just sit in and try and hit them on the counter attack. No, be aggressive. Be aggressive. At least at the start of the game, be aggressive. Truls Arden Christensen, hello, welcome. Nice to have you on again. Brilliant as well. There's a point here. I can't put this thing up because there's a bit of swearing in it, but it's interesting in terms of we got a little lucky. Okay, so I think the first goal is a poor kick from the goalkeeper, but equally Bruno's touch is brilliant. And then you've got to think about from there. The only reason that we score from there is because we've pressed out the field and we have three men in position to score. So I don't think. I know when you see a defensive mistake, you just blame the defender, but I actually think Newcastle created that moment with Bruno standing on the ball, pinging it into Joe Linton, and then Joe Linton really well, rolled it into Visser. And I think it's a great finish from Visser, hits it into the ground, makes it no chance for the goalkeeper, and it's 1-0. Second goal, yeah, I mean, the guy who had one of the worst games I've ever seen, his touch was dreadful, but still, Visser's alertness to it was excellent. His alertness to it was excellent. Bustling in there, and then he slides in, puts it across for Gordon. It's an open goal for Gordon. So that's why. So I thought we as much as the second goal, you'd say yeah, it was more his mistake. But then Visser still does really well from it. And the first goal, I don't even think that's their mistake. I think that's our press causing that happen. Darren Lee saying Gordon didn't look happy to be taken off in the second half. Yeah. And I want players to not be happy getting taken off because he wants to stay on play and he wanted to get more goals. He wanted to get assists. So I want that. We just need to see that being taken on. I do think that we will actually in the coming games because I think he's going to get more space to operate in, Gordon. So I think against Villa, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays well. And I think against PSG as well is another good game for him to take on. So that's where I am with that one. But yeah, I'll disagree. I'll disagree with Gabby. So on that one, yes. Do I see Visser was talking about his decision not to go to AFCON? Yes, I think he did. He did make the right decision. I think he did make the right decision. I think that's clear that he made the right decision in the end because now we're going to see. As I said, I thought last night. First time we saw him looking match sharp. And even in the games that hasn't been sharp, he's had chances. Even, I don't want to take everyone back to it, but even in the time with Derby, when he nearly got the end of that deflected cross and none of our other players were even alive to that. So, and if he scores, that's 1-1. I don't think we lose the game. We might not win, but I don't think we lose the game. So that's where I am with that one. I think for Visser, I totally agree that he made the right decision. Sorry, there's a few more comments flying in, which is great. Thank you for your interaction. I'll try and get through as many as possible. Got Geordie Howe, man. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in once more. Yeah, Miley got the armband. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're doing it to look after him. And I was disappointed he didn't start, And I was disappointed with the starting 11, actually. They proved me wrong, by the way. They absolutely proved me wrong. But I was disappointed with the starting 11. I thought after the Wolves game, there should have been more changes. I would have liked to see Miley at right back. I wanted to see Ramsey starting over Tonali. and I wanted to see a Langer starting. I was happy if this had started, but I wanted to see some more start from. Yeah, I didn't think the players who played on Sunday deserved to then start again. They proved me wrong. I'm happy to be proven wrong. Fine. Borky, welcome, Borky. How are you doing, sir? Barnes or Gordon for England? Why not both? Why not both? Why not both? Generally, why not both? Right. Gordon is clearly a player Tuchel likes really a lot, rates him really highly. He will probably be England's starting winger. But if you want a goal, if England in a tight game in the World Cup against, all right, let's say it's France. I'm not sure. I think we can only play France till the semi-final, actually. But let's say it's France. Semi-final of the World Cup, France. It's 1-1. France are pushing. We're pushing. The space in behind. Gordon's not as good a finisher as Barnes. You take Gordon off. You bring Barnes in. You get him that one opportunity. He runs through one-on-one. He scores. You win the game. Because Barnes is one of the best wide finishers in the Premier League, certainly, potentially Europe. He's got 12 goals this season, not a single penalty. His best ever goal scoring season is 13. I am absolutely all in on the Harvey Barnes for England train. I am so in on it. It's unbelievable. I can't believe Thomas Tuchel can watch him and not think, yeah, you know what, we could do with this guy, actually give him a chance. He's got, as I say, 12 goals, all from open play, all different types of goals, left foot, right foot, headers, a lot from starting on the right wing. He's not a right winger. He's a left winger. And he is impressing me so much. I've always been a big fan. I've always enjoyed him at Leicester. I was so buzzing when we signed him. I was gutted when he got injured at the start of that 23-24 season because I think it would have made a big difference. Of course, he got his moment against West Ham. He scored 2 goals. And then from, I'd say, February, maybe March last year, he's been brilliant. He's been one of our best attacking players by a long, long way. So for me, I'd take them both. I'd take them both. Forget Rashford. Rashford had a good start at Barcelona. Hasn't done a lot recently. Take them both. Take Barnes and Gordon. Why not? Genuinely. Newcastle left-hand side. Because Barnes will not be involved in the game all the time. But what he is at all points, he creates moments in the final third. Creates goal-scoring opportunities. His crossing is extremely underrated. When he cuts in on his right foot, and he puts a cross in. Even when he's on the right, his crossing's massively improved, by the way. He put in an unbelievable ball last night for Vista. It was fantastic. And he put in an unbelievable ball against Bournemouth for Gordon as well. They both should have scored those. Barnes should have more assists as well because he actually puts in some brilliant crosses. So that's a great question, Borky, and that is where I'm at with it. Please let me know what you think. Loads of comments flying in, so trying to get through some more. Sorry if I miss any. 2 clean sheets for Pope in a row. Yeah, no, Pope, but he had nothing. He's had nothing to do in both games. The defense has been good in the last 2 games, definitely. Got Foxy Yairo, welcome. PSV defend like a non-league side for the first 2 goals. Game already wrapped up at 2-0. We've been very fortunate with having very winnable Champions League games, especially at home, excluding Barca. Yeah, you can look at it like that, but I want to be more positive about it, to be honest, because I want to be more positive about it because I just feel like the pressing caused the first goal last night. I think the second goal, is a terrible mistake. I think the other games, so Benfica and Athletic Bilbao, Benfica are obviously not the same team they had moments in the game, but again, we played really well. The front 3 were excellent in that match. And against Athletic Bilbao, they were missing some massive players. We just were better physically than them. And it's just more of a case of the Premier League is starting to become very, very strong. And it's actually harder to win your Premier League games, especially away from home. The second best away record in the Premier League this season is Tottenham with 5 wins. And Arsenal have 6 wins away from home. So it's just becoming really difficult to win away from home in the Premier League because every team seems to play in the same way. But it's an interesting point. I've got no problems talking about it. This is not going. Yeah, they're Gordon talking about when Gordon didn't pass to Barnes. Yeah, that was strange. I don't know what he was doing there. A few people saying Barnes for England. Alanga should start against Villa. This is a good, this is an interesting point, Jordy Dan. Yes. Yeah, I would be not against that at all. I think, as I say, look, Aston Villa are not going to turn up at St James's Park and sit in. They're not. They're not. They are not going to turn up and sit in. That is not how Unai Emery plays. He likes his teams to control the ball, work through the midfield. As I said, their midfield is missing some massive players. We can take advantage of that. I think this could be a really good game for Alanga. That is a great shout, Jordy Dan. I've got no problems with that one. This is Jordy Yam Yam. On the pressing, are we guilty of giving bigger named opponents too much control of the possession? Should we just get into them? I think it's just more away from home. We just give everyone, whoever it is, we just sit back. And I don't understand it. You can't press the whole game, but you got to choose your moments to do it. And you got to choose your moments to get in their face. I mean, we didn't even press Wolves. Like, the best chance of breaking down that Wolves team on Sunday would have been to press them and win the ball out the field, because they've pushed men up from there. Oh, we're on the counter-attack, lads. We've got a chance here. Bang, into them. Win the ball back out the field. Right, they're in trouble. We get a goal. Then they've got to change their whole game plan. And that's when you bring Alanga on and you probably win the game. So that's where I am with the pressing thing, to be fair. Barnes, our best finisher. Barnes has to play for England. This is all good stuff. Jopadoni says, I prefer going to Barnes. However, you cannot say Barnes is not better this season. Even in 2025 overall, Barnes has been better. And Darren saying we're unlucky against Barca. So, Foxy, hello, welcome. Well, on it. Well, no, all good. Have you on? See, of course, content where we are in the Champions League table, but also not silly enough to type in it something else. We won the games we should be winning. The tricky games we failed. Yeah, okay. So Barcelona, I think Newcastle played well enough to get something from the game. 100%. Played well enough to get something from the game. Unlucky in that sense. To be fair, Marseille, that was disappointing. Cruising at 1-0 realistically, and then Pope comes out and makes a terrible error. To be fair, Pope, he's massively improved since he come back in the team in all senses. He's still got a kick, of course, but, you know, he never will be out there. We just got to accept it. It's fine. Yeah, and then by Leverkusen, I thought from going 1-0 down to 2-1 up and then not being able to win the game, that was disappointing. But again, it was a good second half performance against Bayer Leverkusen. We're really good in the second half. So the Champions League's been really enjoyable, and you've got to appreciate these times, appreciate these games, and appreciate these wins, because at the moment we don't know if we're going to be back in it next season. But equally, let's hope we are. We definitely can be. I think that I'm looking at the Premier League. I'm not being blown away by anyone. So I think these are all interesting points. And look, let's see what happens next week. And let's see who we end up either with in the playoff round or in the last 16. So we'll have to see. Lee, welcome. How are you doing? And that's what I'm saying. Like PSV here. How did they beat Liverpool 4-1 and Napoli 6-2? Well, again, I don't look at the team. I wanted to see if... I can look at the team now and see if they had any players who were missing. So Dirac, who scored twice against Liverpool at Anfield, he came on as a sub last night. Till came off as a player. He scored in the game. PSV at Anfield. So we've got matches. Champions League, where it is. Where is it? Knockouts League stage. Champions League. So against Napoli, they had Man, who played last night. He scored twice. Ricardo Pepe, he was playing. He was injured. So, I mean, this was basically the same team. It was basically the same team that team that started last night for PSV, it's basically the same team that beat Napoli 6-2, barring a couple of players. So, you know, I think Newcastle just made them look really, really poor. And I think that's more down to our credit. Equally, I do think the Champions League, the teams do give you more space. And Cuff, sorry, I didn't see that. Afternoon, any news on Bruno's injury at all? Yes, sorry. So Bruno's just tweeted himself saying that he hopes the injury is not too serious and he wants to be back soon. I feel like it feels like at that point we still don't know, but you would hope that he would just come out and say probably if he was injured badly. Let's just see what happens. I'm hoping that he's absolutely fine, to be fair. I'm hoping that he's absolutely fine. I don't think he play Villa on Sunday, to be honest. So the swelling, of course, yeah, exactly, being pointed out. A few more comments here. So, yeah, saying a lot of winnable ties. Yeah, no, there are. And look, another thing as well, if for the fans, it's another away day, isn't it? Another European away day. I don't know if anyone went to any of them this season. I don't know if anyone's going to PSG next week. Please let me know. But I went to Leverkusen. It was just a brilliant couple of days. It was so good. It's something I've never done. I was a bit young, 2012, 13. I was even younger before that to follow Newcastle in the Champions League. So Europa League season 2012, 13 and 23, 24. I just couldn't get to any of them, unfortunately. But I went over for Leverkusen. It was great. It was great. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about, following football club, going around to Europe, with your mates, having a good time, meeting other Geordies, taking over bars. We just took over these bars in Cologne, chanting about Waldemar, chanting about Colaccini. It was brilliant. It was absolutely class. So yeah, look, if we do get a playoff round, it will be good for the fans. The fans will have a good one. They'll enjoy it. And why not? Why not? Just a quick reminder, of course, that like and subscribe, join NTTV Plus for £4.99, get exclusive content and support the channel. If anyone is on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, that's my handle there at JackCun96. So that'd be great if you could all drop me a follow or follow anyone back. A few people have done, which has been really appreciated. And then again, just a reminder as well, inside the Toon, talkSPORT's dedicated Newcastle weekly show, 50 minutes weekly show. And that's going to be, we filmed the latest episode this morning, so that's what I've been doing this morning. I've come back home to do this, and then I'm off for the rest of the day, which is nice. But yes, please watch that. Either type in Inside the Toon, go on the talkSPORT Newcastle YouTube channel, or it'll be on the talkSPORT YouTube channel as well. And we're hoping after a win, it'll do well. But look, you might not agree with it like this, but what you should know is that everyone who's on it are Newcastle fans. We all want to give you all content that Newcastle fans will enjoy. So yeah, please do that. That'd be great. Harpal, welcome as well. Just coming towards the end, but I will stay on a little bit longer because I was late. So no problem. That was my fault as well. So just saying if I missed any more comments. Let's have a look. Yeah, not too much else, but that's all good. That's all good. All good. But yeah, great win against PSV. Newcastle guaranteed a playoff spot, which is brilliant. We've got PSG, and I just want to see us throw everything at it. I think that if we get beat, we get beat, but let's give them a go. That they're not the PSG of last season. That they've got quite a few injuries. They've got players just coming back from AFCON. Achraf Hakimi played back-to-back 120 minutes for Morocco, and then they lost the final as well, so I'm not sure how he's going to be. They got beat by Sporting on Tuesday. They did absolutely dominate the game, but still, they did get beat by Sporting on Tuesday. And, I think it's just a really good opportunity to go out there and give it our all. Let's see what we can do here. It'd be great to believe that by the end of it, Newcastle are in the top 8. That'd be incredible, wouldn't it? But if not, we've got playoff spot and bring on whoever we play in the playoffs as well. We should also finish in the top 16, which is important because that means that we get a home tie second in the playoff round. So yeah, that's where we are. Darren said too many clubs on 13 points. Yeah, and the only way we're going to finish in the top 8 is if we beat PSG. So, but we should go there thinking we can. It'd be pointless if It'd be pointless going there and thinking that we're going to lose. So we should go there think we can win. And I just want to see a good performance from the team. I want to see us get in their faces, be the Newcastle we all know and love. That's what we want to see. And then Aston Villa on Sunday. Look, I really think it's a good opportunity to get 3 points. I do. I think that our record against Villa, Howe's record at home against Villa, is extremely good. Emery has a weird thing with St James's Park, but so does Aston Villa as a club, and their injuries are a massive issue. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, their injuries are a massive issue. That's where I'm at with that one. Oh, I got a comment from Lynn. Sorry, Lynn. Hi, Lynn. Watching from the start. Fantastic shows. Thank you very much, Lynn. I really appreciate it. I do hope people are enjoying this content. I'm really enjoying the interaction with everyone, and already feels like we've built up a nice regular listeners for it, which is great. I can't remember when I'll be back next week. Let me just double check because I have got it in my calendar. So next week I'm on Thursday and Sunday. So we're going to be obviously looking back at PSG. So we'll be looking back at PSG next Thursday, and then on Sunday be looking back at Liverpool. So it's a big week next week for Newcastle. Villa, PSG, Liverpool. And look, we could lose every game, but this is what we wanted, isn't it? You want these games. You want these massive games. We go to Anfield, as much as they're unbeaten in 13 now, we go to Anfield with the best chance we've had in a long time of winning there. They're not playing that well. They're starting to show a few signs of getting better, but we've got to go there and believe we can win as well. So that's what I want to see from Newcastle. As I said, what I'm pleased about as well is the fact that I'm seeing better performances. And Darren saying shame Liverpool games on TNT. Well, I'll give a shameless plug. It is live on talkSPORT as well. So exclusively on the radio on talkSPORT. That's the shameless plug there. But if you want to listen to it instead, or listen to it and what? Oh, if you don't want to listen to TNT, you put the commentary on, and then you watch it on TNT, because that's sometimes what I do. So why not do that if you want? But yeah, like, it's a big week coming up, and then the following week's a big week as well, and the following week's a big week as well. But I think there's signs that things are improving. Yes, the Wolves game was extremely disappointing. Yes, the Man City game was disappointing, especially when you look at what's happened to Manchester City since. But Botman and Chow back, and yeah, with Botman and Chow back, looking rock solid at the back, Hall playing some top football, Miley looking like he's going to be a star, Tonali playing better last night, Joe Linton picking up form, played well in most games. The thing, my thing with Joe Linton is brilliant in a game like that. So good, because PSV didn't sit back, so he could be this pressing monster that he is. But then I wouldn't be playing him against. But then there's just no need to have him against Wolves, was there? You know, he's not got that incisive passing, so I wouldn't want him. That's my thing. That's where there needs to be a little bit more adaptability. I feel we're so close to being a really, really top team. A creative midfielder would be the dream. You wouldn't even have to. And the thing is, you wouldn't have to play this creative midfielder, whoever he may be. You wouldn't have to play him. You wouldn't have to play him in every game. In a game like last night, you wouldn't have to play him, but you could put against Wolves away. You start him in that game because they're going to sit everyone behind the ball. Like, look, we're going to have to need someone to thread the ball through the lines and stuff. And if they can just get that in the summer, then I'm confident that we're on course to be a top team once more, because there's a lot of ingredients there for a special side here. So we just need to see what happens again going forward on Sunday. Again, really happy with last night. And I think I appreciate the point saying that, yes, we probably won the home games we expected to win, but equally, PSV were in very good form. They had enjoyed a very good Champions League campaign in the sense of smashing Napoli and battering Liverpool and Anfield. So they clearly are a good side, and we blew them away. I mean, Pope had nothing to do in the match. So that's where I am with. That's where what I'm feeling with what I saw against PSV. To be fair, and equally looking at the Villa, it's a good opportunity. And Truls Hagen Christensen saying Alanga, yes, no, he was, and he's only going to get better with a run of games. With a run of games, and there's certain games coming up whereby I think he could thrive in. I really don't. There's a few games coming up where I think he could thrive in. I think Villa are not going to, as I said, not going to sit run behind the ball. PSG are not going to. I probably wouldn't start against PSG, but still, maybe Anfield. I don't know. Kirkes has not had a good season. I don't know. It's interesting. You've got to find a way to get him to start games though, and I think Villa on Sunday would be a good chance. Now, as I said, I'm going to stay for a little bit longer because I was late, so it's all my fault. So I will stay a little bit longer. So about 10 more minutes. And I'm going to go through what I think the team will be on Sunday. So I'm going to go Pope. I'm going to go Miley at right back because I think Trippier, as much as I thought he played well, I don't know about him playing 3 games in a week. I don't think he can do that. And Kvaratskhelia, as much as it's an unbelievable footballer, the one thing he doesn't really have is pace. But he runs as quick with the ball as without the ball, which is a huge skill. So I'm going to go for Pope in goal. I'm going to go Miley at right back. Chow, Botman, Hall, because there's not really too many more options. Burns back in training, which is good. So hopefully he's on the bench. I wouldn't be starting him as of yet. And then I go to Tonali, Joelinton, Ramsey as my midfield 3. And then I would go for Aston, and I would go for Alanga. And then I'd go Barnes and Waltemada or Vissa. I think Vissa, because I just think that we took him off with enough time, and I think that we're starting to see some match sharpness from him. And ultimately, Vissa is more like Isak in the way he is as a striker. So the team at the moment are finding it easier to play with Vissa than they are with Waltemada. That is nothing against Waltemada. I think I've seen enough from him to suggest that he will be a top signing for us. It's just we're going to have to adapt a little bit to how he plays, and he's going to have to adapt a little bit to how we play, and that's it. And if we can do that, then I think we're flying. To be fair, with Waltemada. So yeah, I'd go with that. So we got Truls Hagen Christensen's gone for Pope, Trips, Chow, Botman, Hall, Tonali, Big Joe, Miley, Gordon, Vissa, Barnes. That's what Miley plays right back. Yeah, so basically one change then from Wednesday. Yeah, one change from Wednesday. Yeah, I understand it. I think Ramsey should get a start against Villa. That'd be a nice time to get his first goal, I think, for Newcastle against his old team. I don't think he'd celebrate. He's a Brummy boy, but I think that'd be a good time. And I think in the game against this Villa team with their midfield issues, I think it's the time to start Jacob Ramsey for me. But again, he's a player who I will unashamedly praise because I've been a big fan for a long time. It's like the Harvey Barnes thing. I was singing his praises even during that 23-24 season when he was injured. I was like, wait until he's back, wait until he's back, wait until he's back. And he came back, and then now look at him. So yeah, I'm always going to be on the Jacob Ramsey bandwagon. I think he'll come good. No worries on that one. And I think it'd be a good time to get him a start on Sunday, but I totally get this team, no problem at all. Pope has us, and again, Nick Pope deserves a mention because, yep, Kev, hello Kev, sorry, first time but thank you for joining, appreciate it. Yes, John McGinn looks like he is going to be out, so McGinn, Kamara, and Onana are out, so the midfield options not looking good would be what I'd say. So the midfield options are looking pretty thin. I think with our midfield, the power in it, Joelinton playing well, hopefully Tonali going to play well as well. We can get that win without Bruno. I think even if Bruno recovers a little bit, I just wouldn't play him. I'd give him the rest for this game. It is a hugely important game, but what's more important, Bruno missing one match or Bruno missing 10 to 12, which is what we could say happen. So I wouldn't be playing Bruno no matter what. I think Miley in midfield, Miley at right back be good, and then Ramsey in midfield. Just because, again, Trippier, I thought, again, played well last night. I probably would start him against PSG, actually, but I think he can't play 3 90 minutes in a week. I think his legs are already sort of going, so I wouldn't want to drive him into the ground in that sense. I mean, we're already asking a lot of Botman and Chow as well. I mean, fair play to him, by the way. The amount of starting out of minutes he's racking up for us and doesn't look like it's impacting him at all. An absolute beast. Top signing. Looking like going to have a partnership with Botman for hopefully many, many years. And equally, then we'll see what the next potential centre-backs are that come through or are picked up and signed, because that's got to be an area that they look at. And that's why I was saying that I think the summer will be a big overhaul for Newcastle. I think, as I say, I think I can see a few first-team players going. I can see squad players going. So that's where I am with the whole situation as it is, I guess. Yeah, Geordie dancing, Chow must be a Terminator, never looks tired. Oh, just a reminder as well, sorry, I'm also doing the Geordie Journal Inquest videos, so it's about 15 to 20 minutes, not necessarily every week, but I'll try and do them as often as possible. I'm going to be doing one on Saturday. I don't know when that'll get put out, but I'm going to be doing it on Saturday. So I'll be rounding up what I either know what's going on from my colleagues or whatever else I can find. But it's just a little news update on all things Newcastle. So please tune into that as well. That'll be out at some point. But yeah, so we've got Donny saying he'd like to see Bruno back if he isn't playing there. I prefer Miley in there. Chow, Defo, I think Trips will stay at right back. Yeah, that's fair. Kev saying, I actually think it'll suit us better with this run of games coming up. We're generally poor against teams that sit back like Wolves, Villa, Liverpool, PSG won't do this. Yeah, you are right. They won't. They really won't, So I think that is where you look at the run and say, oh, that's terrifying. But actually, it might suit us just that little bit more than that's where we are. So that's what. And Geordie Howe, man, says Rodgers Buendia. Yeah, Rodgers is such a good player. I mean, he's the one. He's been the one who's been the catalyst for them this season. He had a really poor start of the year, actually, because I'm in my fantasy team and he had nothing. Took him out my fantasy team, started doing absolute bits, and then I get him back, and then I get him back in, and he's done well, but I've already missed out on the points. So yes, Rodgers has been absolutely excellent, and he's won them a lot of games this season, because Watkins hasn't been as good. They've sold Marlon. He's gone on loan, sorry, but there's an option to buy or obligation to buy. He's gone to Roma. So he's been the key man. And unfortunately, I don't think there's actually any way of really keeping him quiet. You've just got to hope he doesn't take the moments when he gets them and we manage to have more of the game. Yeah, but they've got a tough game, though. Trials Hagen Christensen is off. Great show. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining. Really appreciate us seeing it on next Thursday and Sunday next week. They vary. It all depends on when I'm working, etc. But yeah, Thursday and Sunday next week. So hopefully you can join me then. And Foxy says, interested to see how Villa set up today against Fenerbahce. Yeah, I think I'll be watching. I think I'll be keeping an eye out on that, to be fair. I'm going to be interested to see what happens with that one. Yeah, Leon Bailey is back. Bailey was good a couple of seasons ago. He's been poor for a while, so not too worried about Bailey necessarily. So, yeah, that's where I am. But I'm now going to wrap up. Thank you all for joining me once again. It's been really good. We covered a lot of ground. There was a few disagreements over St James's Park and training grounds, and that's absolutely fine. And sponsorships and stuff. But equally, what was great, we got to talk about a Newcastle win, finally. First win I've got to cover, which is good. And let's hope for a big win on Sunday, followed by just a Newcastle performance on Wednesday. That's what I want to say. I want to say a proper performance on Wednesday against PSG. Let's go out there and give it a roll. Let's show them what we're about. And then I'll be back on Thursday to look back ahead. Look back at that and look at it at Liverpool. Have brilliant rest of your weeks and weekends, and let's hope for 3 points on Sunday. Cheers once again.